If you're a fucking weirdo like I am, and you play arcade games, you probably go look at the top scores and the world records of the games you try out and learn. One of these examples being Melty Blood at Cadenza. Now, of course, you're probably thinking,
who the hell cares about scoring in fighting games?
And well, the answer to that is, Anyway, when you look at the documented scoreboards for arcade games, such as Gaman's List or Vertex Dan's List, you can find Melty Blood at Cadenza's. But which character scores the highest? Well, it's NECO ARC, the funny little cat, scoring 20 million higher than any other character in the game. How'd that little scamp score so high then? Well, first we need to go down the rabbit hole of version differences and finding out information that it's lost time about fighting games and arcade games as a whole. Well, first, what even are versions? Well, that's a stupid fucking question. When a game gets updated, that means it goes to a new version. Well, how do these versions alter scoreboards? Well, with Japanese scorekeeping such as Arcadia, Gamist, and JHA now, when a new version gets released, the old version gets basically wiped clean, and the new version is now the version to submit for. So, with a game like Cadenza, we have 4 releases in arcades. The initial version, version A, version B, and version B2. Now, think about something for a second, especially for fighting games, because there's a lot of information about these games. Which version do you think will be documented and more understood than any other version? Well, B2, because it is the most latest revision, and it is the version I believe even for the PC release of the game. And now, what version is this huge NECO ARC score from? The initial version. Which, for those of you guys unaware, means the game's gonna have next to no documentation and absolutely none in English. So we're all gonna have to deal with Japanese text and translation software to even get an idea of what we're doing. Well, fuck it, let's just get the game ourselves then. Since it was a Naomi release, it's pretty easy to emulate it. You just need to get the CHD and the ROM file to play it on Flycast or DMeal or whatever fucking emulator you want to use. So we load up the initial release of Melty Blood at Cadenza and...
Where's the fucking cat?
So it turns out that in the initial and version A releases of the game, NECO ARC wasn't unlocked by default. We had to use a code. So, how do we get her? Well, first we have to use the Japanese phrase for Melty Blood at Cadenza, while also including the term NECO ARC. I'm going through every goddamn website that shows up, hoping one of them will include the actual unlock code, because no English site cares about the fucking original releases of the game. After about 10 to 20 websites we checked, we finally found it on uzurauzura.harisen.jp/kakusi_mb.html. Halfway down the page were 2 lines of text that says the method to unlock NECO ARC, which is hover, arcade, left, down, right, right, up, left, start, and then saying it has a 20% chance of appearing on the initial release and 100% to appear on version A. Got all that? Good. So now we can play as the fucking cat. And her moveset is actually really different compared to Actress Again and just later versions of Cadenza. A lot of moves are just missing or non-existent. So let's just recap how the scoring works in Cadenza. Light attacks give about 800 points each. I mean, they come out really quickly, they have low damage, so it makes sense for them to do a little score. Mediums give about 1,500 to 2,000, and heavies 3,000 to 5,000. Supers give a lot less score per hit, but they also do multiple hits, so it's a pretty good balance. Cool. Have you ever seen the one video that exists of high-level Melty Blood scoring as CL? I believe it was a release by Gamist. You'll understand that the main scoring loop is to infinite combo, then let the AI blood heat to heal up, then infinite again. Because the more hits you deal in a combo, the less and less damage it's dealing till it's about 2 HP per hit. So that means you're getting full score value for an attack that does no damage, and you can just keep hitting and hitting and hitting to get more and more score. So it's simple then. Just find infinite for NECO ARC, right? You might be thinking. Well, there is one infinite with NECO ARC that exists somewhere, but it requires moves that NECO ARC doesn't have in initial release. They just weren't made yet, such as her 2C while jumping. That just doesn't exist. So we're back to the fun of Google. Now, we want to search for NECO ARC Eternal Pattern to try to find anything that comes up with this. But now since our results keep including version B2, we need to actually specify initial version. But this doesn't result in anything, so we just keep it basic. searching for MBAC initial release, and just search for anything anywhere that could contain any information that we're looking for. And there we go, a tweet by a Japanese player named Muto256, reminiscing on the initial release of Melty Blood at Cadenza, and explicitly mentioning that mashing, which in this case is going to mean a macro of 30Hz autofire, NECO ARC's weak attack can result in an infinite pattern. So now we need to kick our one brain cell into overdrive. We broaden our search, including NECO ARC, Melty Blood AC, and initial version, and after searching for quite a while, we find something. A relic of the past. A website that only is in plain text as all of its images are long since dead. A website called Neko Gago Toku, a website by a NECO ARC player from MBAC and MBAA, which, I shit you not, advertises a NECO ARC only tournament called the NECO Off that was played on Cadenza version B2 at Nakano TRF in Tokyo around 2007 to 2008 era. Within the image's hyperlinks, we find a page called change.html. This actually documents the changes that NECO ARC went through between React, initial release, version A, version B, etc. And under the version A header, we have number 5, where it basically says that an infinite was patched with standing A autofire. So we have the attack we need, 5A. And with my stick's internal 20Hz autofire, I decided to open up the game again and see if we can figure out this bug once and for all. After all, it's been about 15 years since it was performed, probably even closer to 17 actually if we think about it. It's been a long time since any information about this bug has existed online, so it's about time we change that, huh? So, NECO ARC's 2C has a pretty interesting property. Only using it once causes the opponent to just fall flat on their fucking ass. But if you use it twice in a row, it makes them tech out of their fall when they hit the ground, meaning that you can't just wail on them infinitely. But what if you just use the 2C and then just comboed into it with 5A? What would happen then? Due to NECO ARC's 5A causing hit stun, and the fact that you can do it every 2 frames means that you can effectively freeze the opponent in the air. And since combos make you do less and less damage for each hit, you can effectively do this infinitely. But wait a second, what about Blood Heat? Blood Heat's a mechanic in Melty Blood that allows you to actually exchange meter in exchange for healing over time. But there are 2 mechanics with Blood Heat that aren't, as far as I'm aware, well documented. One is the timer freezes. Now this alone you can already see why it's a good thing. But 2, Blood Heat doesn't end if you're in hit stun. And when you're getting infinited by NECO ARC here, you're always in hit stun. Meaning the timer is never going down, it's always going to stay at whatever it is when the Blood Heat starts. Meaning that you can get a free infinite for the remainder of the enemy's hit point bar. Meaning that, in theory, you can get about 1,000,000 points per round, times that by 30 rounds, and you're looking at a max score potential of about 30 million points. That's pretty fucking high. And it explains why the world record for the initial release is 26 million. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time for the milking video.